Ivan Pavlov's groundbreaking work on classical conditioning revolutionized our understanding of human behavior. His discovery that our bodies can learn to associate neutral stimuli with physical responses transformed the field of psychology forever. Get ready to uncover the fascinating life and legacy of the man who proved that our minds are capable of rewriting their own rules. As we delve into the life of Ivan Pavlov, it's fascinating to note that his early years laid the groundwork for his future contributions to psychology. Born in 1849 in Ryazan, Russia, Pavlov grew up in a family of modest means, with his father serving as a village priest. This humble beginnings would later influence his strong work ethic and dedication to his craft. Pavlov's childhood was marked by a curiosity about the natural world, often spending hours exploring the surrounding countryside, collecting plants, and observing animals. These formative experiences would eventually shape his interest in the physiological aspects of behavior. Pavlov's educational journey began at the Ryazan Theological Seminary, where he initially intended to follow in his father's footsteps. However, it was during this time that he discovered the works of Charles Darwin, which sparked a profound shift in his interests. He became increasingly fascinated by the scientific method and the potential for empirical research to uncover the secrets of the natural world. This led him to enroll in the University of St. Petersburg, where he studied physiology under the guidance of renowned physiologist Sergei Botkin. Pavlov's time at the university was marked by intense focus and dedication, often spending long hours in the laboratory conducting experiments and collecting data. Under Botkin's mentorship, Pavlov developed a deep understanding of the physiological processes that underlie behavior. His research focused on the digestive system, and he made significant contributions to our understanding of the role of the nervous system in regulating digestion. It was during this period that Pavlov began to formulate his ideas about the conditional reflex, which would later become the cornerstone of his work on classical conditioning. He noticed that the dogs in his laboratory would begin to salivate in anticipation of food, even before it was presented to them. This observation sparked a series of experiments designed to explore the relationship between stimuli and responses, ultimately leading to the development of his groundbreaking theory. As Pavlov's work gained recognition, he became a prominent figure in the scientific community, attracting the attention of notable contemporaries such as Vladimir Bekhterev and Sergei Korsakov. His relationships with these individuals were marked by a spirit of collaboration and mutual respect, reflecting the vibrant intellectual atmosphere of St. Petersburg during the late 19th century. Pavlov's laboratory became a hub for interdisciplinary research, drawing in scholars from various fields, including psychology, physiology, and philosophy. This cross-pollination of ideas would have a profound impact on the development of his theories, as he drew upon insights from multiple disciplines to inform his understanding of human behavior. One of the most significant aspects of Pavlov's work was his use of innovative experimental techniques, which allowed him to precisely measure the physiological responses of his subjects. His famous digestive chamber experiment, in which he surgically implanted a fistula in a dog's stomach to collect gastric secretions, demonstrated the power of empirical research in uncovering the underlying mechanisms of behavior. This pioneering work would later influence generations of researchers, including my colleagues in the field, who continued to build upon Pavlov's foundational discoveries. As Pavlov's work on classical conditioning continued to gain momentum, he became increasingly fascinated by the complexities of human behavior and the role of conditioning in shaping our responses to the world around us. His laboratory, once a hub for physiological research, began to attract scholars from various fields, including psychology, philosophy, and education. This interdisciplinary approach allowed Pavlov to explore the broader implications of his theories, delving into the mysteries of human learning, motivation, and emotional regulation. One of the most significant aspects of Pavlov's work during this period was his development of the concept of higher-order conditioning. He discovered that dogs could learn to associate not only a neutral stimulus with a physical response, but also a previously conditioned stimulus with a new response. This breakthrough revealed the remarkable flexibility of the human brain, demonstrating that our learning processes are capable of adapting and evolving over time. Pavlov's experiments on higher-order conditioning were nothing short of ingenious. He used a combination of visual and auditory cues to condition dogs to salivate in response to a specific stimulus, such as a bell or a light. Then, he introduced a new stimulus, like a whistle, which was paired with the original conditioned stimulus. To his astonishment, the dogs began to salivate in response to the whistle alone, even though it had never been directly associated with food. This remarkable finding highlighted the brain's ability to form complex associations and learn through indirect experience. As Pavlov's theories gained international recognition, he became a sought-after speaker and lecturer, traveling extensively throughout Europe and the United States. His presentations were always meticulously prepared, filled with vivid examples and anecdotes that brought his research to life. During one of his lectures at the University of Chicago, he recalled a particularly striking example of classical conditioning in action. A young boy who had been conditioned to fear a specific type of dog would exhibit a pronounced physical response, increased heart rate and sweating, whenever he encountered a similar breed. This case study illustrated the profound impact of conditioning on human behavior, demonstrating how our experiences can shape our emotions, thoughts, and actions in lasting ways. Pavlov's relationships with his contemporaries continued to play a significant role in shaping his work. His interactions with Vladimir Bekhterev, a fellow Russian physiologist, were particularly influential. Bekterev's own research on associative reflexes complemented Pavlov's theories, and the two scientists engaged in lively debates about the nature of conditioning and its applications. These discussions not only refined Pavlov's ideas, but also expanded his perspective, encouraging him to explore the broader implications of his research for fields like education, psychology, and neuroscience. Despite the widespread acclaim for his work, Pavlov's theories were not without controversy. Some critics argued that his focus on classical conditioning oversimplified the complexities of human behavior, neglecting the role of cognitive processes and conscious experience. Others questioned the ethics of his experiments, which often involved surgical procedures and manipulation of animal subjects. Pavlov addressed these concerns through careful consideration and refinement of his methods, always striving to balance the pursuit of scientific knowledge with a deep respect for the welfare of his subjects. One notable example that illustrates this fascination is his study on experimental neurosis in dogs. In this research, Pavlov induced a state of anxiety or neurosis in dogs by subjecting them to conflicting conditioned stimuli, such as pairing a tone with food and then suddenly replacing the food with an unpleasant stimulus, like a loud noise. This experiment not only demonstrated the remarkable malleability of the canine brain, but also highlighted the potential risks of conditioning. Pavlov observed that some dogs developed persistent anxiety or phobic responses to certain stimuli, which could not be easily reversed. This finding had significant implications for our understanding of human psychology, suggesting that traumatic experiences or conflicting conditioning could lead to lasting psychological scars. Pavlov's work on experimental neurosis also led him to explore the concept of protective inhibition, a mechanism by which the brain shields itself from overwhelming or conflicting stimuli. He discovered that dogs could develop a state of temporary paralysis or inhibition in response to extremely intense or contradictory conditioned stimuli, effectively protecting themselves from emotional overload. Although Pavlov's focus remained primarily on the physiological aspects of conditioning, his research had far-reaching implications for the field of psychology, influencing thinkers like Freud and paving the way for future studies on learning theory, emotional regulation, and stress response. As Pavlov's reputation grew, he attracted a diverse group of students and collaborators from around the world. One notable student was Boris Babkin, a young Russian physiologist who would go on to make significant contributions to the field of conditioned reflexes. Under Pavlov's guidance, Babkin conducted innovative research on the role of conditioning in shaping digestive processes, demonstrating that even complex physiological responses could be influenced by learned associations. Through his work with students like Babkin, Pavlov continued to refine his theories and expand the scope of his research. He remained committed to the scientific method, always seeking to test and validate his ideas through rigorous experimentation. This dedication to empirical inquiry earned him widespread respect within the scientific community, cementing his position as one of the most influential thinkers of his time. Despite his many accomplishments, Pavlov's personal life remained marked by simplicity and humility. He continued to live modestly, preferring to devote his resources to his research and the education of future scientists. His wife, Sarah, played an essential role in supporting his work, often assisting with experiments and providing a stable home environment that allowed Pavlov to focus on his research. Pavlov's unwavering dedication to the scientific method and his unrelenting pursuit of knowledge have inspired generations of researchers, clinicians, and thinkers, shaping the trajectory of psychological inquiry and practice. That's all for today's Psych with Sigmund. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, may your ego find balance between pleasure and reality.